Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, frequent flyers. Thank you for joining me in the lounge today. I have a wonderful guest. Salam and I met at Analog Astronaut Conference last year, and we became fast friends. We have similar backgrounds in terms of our parentage and cultural ethnicity, and we immediately connected. She is an inspiring, smart, driven young woman who has designed spacesuits for analog astronaut missions. We're going to explain what those are as we dive in, and how the technology that she's created can be used for more than just these analog missions and more than just space missions. So, Salam, it is so great to have you here today. Where are you calling in from, so everybody knows where you're dialing in from?
Thank you, Sarah. It's such a great opportunity for me to be here in your podcast. And as I said, I was really super excited to be and waited so long for this episode.
Yeah.
Well, name's Salam. I'm here from Jordan right now, from a city called Erbet. And I'm super excited to share with you my experience in spacesuit designs and analog missions where I met you, the Analog Astronaut Conference last year. And yeah, thank you so much for this.
Yeah, no, it's so great to have you here. And we have Sean Graham saying hello to us. I always love it when people join us live. So if anyone has questions as we're speaking, please go ahead and put them in the comments. No matter what platform you're watching from today, you're going to be able to interact with us, and we really love that. So, Salam, I would like to know, you gave me this quote, "Never stop dreaming," by Paulo Coelho. I believe that's the correct way to say his surname. Why is this your favorite quote?
Because I felt it since I was a little girl. I felt like because I kept dreaming,
Mm,
I started to see and touch my dreams after each level of my life. If I can't imagine my life if I stopped dreaming. So dreaming
mm,
and being ambitious and keep going and saying that I wanted to do this and that what kept me driving forward. And I believe the moment you stop dreaming, the moment you stop progressing. So dreaming and looking forward and being ambitious is your driving wheel and car, let's say, or let's say it's your rocket to go
yeah.
to wherever you want.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that so many of us forget about dreaming. We think we have to be functional and productive and serious, and we stop allowing that wonder and that awe to come in. And yet, those are the things that drive curiosity. Those are the things that lead to innovation, right? We need that magic. We need that interconnectivity between these kind of siloed pieces of expertise for the inspiration to drop in. And so when you told me that was your favorite quote, it really made me smile, because we all need that reminder. Even the most the dreamers amongst us, we still can sometimes get stuck in the projects that we're working on, and we get so focused on details that we forget about bringing in those other elements. So I'm glad that you have allowed this to continue to inspire you. And so, you don't live in the US, you live in Jordan, and you have been really leading the way for young women to look at careers in STEM, and also to join the space community, to show other people, like, hey, it doesn't matter where you live, there are opportunities to become involved at different levels. Can you tell us a little bit more from that international perspective, what it's been like to come into the space industry? When did you know you wanted to do something related to space? And how did you navigate that, what might seem like a big boundary, and how did you find your way here?
So it was since I was maybe in second grade, I really wanted to be an astronaut, and I kept saying
Yeah.
that I kept answering the same answer to the same question: What do you want to be when you grow up? So I was always saying I want to be an astronaut, and because you have the surrounding people around you, they are not trying to put you down. Rather, they are more surprised of your dream because
Mm,
it's not here. I mean, the region that I'm from, we don't have space exploration as something we have as normal jobs. We don't have NASA. We don't have
yeah.
agency that or launching pads that you can hear a rocket launching nearby, like from the Kennedy Space Center or TVL or any other places in the U.S.
Yeah.
And at that moment, I felt like I have to be the one who needs to keep moving because if I
Mm,
stop who's gonna continue? If I'm
Yeah.
not the one who's starting it, who's gonna start it? So that's the hidden power that kept me going forward.
Mm.
So because I started at a young age, I felt like the people that surrounds me that kept supporting me, even in a way that's kind of, sometimes they laugh, like, okay,
Yeah.
Salam wants to be an astronaut, and they believe and don't believe, but they want to
Right.
keep pushing me, especially the closest family. That keeps telling you that you have more responsibility, and this responsibility started to increase even when I graduated. I felt like, because I had the chance and the opportunity to be in the space industry or in the international space community, I have responsibility on my shoulders to transfer this connections and this, let's say, mindset to the surrounding colleagues and the generation that surrounds me here in Jordan and even in the Middle East, to tell them that the space is not that far, and it's not here yet, but we can bring it here. So if I am the first person to initiate this, so I am more than glad to be that person, and I want to inspire them.
I love that. And I really love what you just said, not here yet, but we can bring it here, because yet is such a powerful word. So many times we feel like, oh, I haven't made it. I haven't done that thing. I'm not an expert. But as soon as you add the word yet, it allows for this possibility. So that's really powerful. And so I'm really glad that you're here on the podcast with me today. We have Terry Trevino also saying, congratulations on all your success
Yay,
and your recent
Terry.
marriage.
Thank you.
Terry
Thank you so
definitely
much,
won some
Terry.
of your suits. And we're going to talk
Yeah.
about Salam's upcoming business launch and her suits in just a little bit. But we do have a question from Sean Graham. How did you first get involved with the analog astronaut world? There's a lot of perceived barriers to entry, and I think even most people don't know that it exists. I've loved space since I was a little girl, and I just learned about analog last year when I watched Cyan give a keynote, and I was like, what is this? Sign me up. Like, how do I learn more
I want to be
information?
in.
How did you take that first step? What were some of the things that you did so we can encourage our listeners and show them where they can go so that they can follow this path if they so choose?
Yeah, so the first time I got introduced to the analogs when I participated in a competition here locally in Jordan, and I won the competition of design in a spacesuit. I started to meet people that they met other people in the space industry, and
Mm,
connections and getting to know people who's talking about different subjects in the space industry in general. They will definitely mention analogs because analog is the first step before going to space. You need to train yourself, put yourself in the environment and the simulation where you can understand psychologically and physically and other sides that you are going to an isolated place, remote place,
mm,
with people that you might not know, alone with no resources, only the things that are in your mind. So the idea of having analogs on earth to prepare us as astronauts or as humans to go to space
mm,
is such a great perspective. And I think starting correctly in the right base is such a great thing for me. So last year, let's say last year as well for me, I knew analogs before, but I understood what the analog means last year. And before I went to the AAC, I started to meet people that they are in the analog world more. They encouraged me to be an analog astronaut. I got a scholarship to go and be an analog astronaut with the in Mars, and
okay.
that was a great opportunity. Even though the mission was low fidelity, it wasn't that hard mission and go
Mm,
to a very dangerous place and trying very different and new things, because this is my first analog mission. But I
sure.
felt it. And I
Yeah.
started to understand the importance of becoming an analog. And right now, I am in a position where I wanted to bring analogs to Jordan as well. I really wanted to see an analog mission here. So
Yeah.
the I get involved because of my connections and
Mhm.
because of the importance of analog that has started to speak about itself. I from my own perspective, I admire the people and the businesses that they care about the analog side before getting into the real astronaut training, because this
Yeah.
is step number one.
Yes. Absolutely. And I love that you mentioned that this analog training is just important for being human. It's not even, I mean, yes, going to space, but most often we are walking around unaware of our reactions to things, maybe the stories, the mental constructs that we have in our mind. And as you said, our mind is our most powerful tool. So if we are not okay with what's going on up here, when we're in a stressful environment, a high stakes environment where there's a lot of added pressure, that's really not a good situation for you as an individual to experience, but also it can compromise the safety of the mission and the ability of you to work well with your colleagues. And so I love that you're bringing this information back and looking to create a local analog. I know that there's next year, the world's biggest analog that's going to be taking place. Have you thought about applying for that?
Yes, I want to apply for sure, but I want to be ready to
Mm,
apply for it. I am super excited to be part of the team, the volunteers, or anything that it's related to this amazing analog mission or global analog mission. And I'm so proud of the people who introduced such a great thing. And, while the missions are operating in different places, different, let's say, timing, and also different period, of timing, because each mission has special, training, special period of time of isolation. So I think merging them together and making them one standard or standardization of the analogs will make it make the benefit of it more valuable to the outcome, because the data that's going out from this mission should be analyzed and should be used to other missions. So I know
mm,
some people underestimate the value of the analogs. So some people, they start to say, no, you're just going to a space camp. No, we're not. Even if it's
yeah.
not as real as you think, but psychologically it is a prepare us. It
Yes.
does prepare us, and also makes us ready to the next one, because mission number one might be low fidelity, but mission number five, it will definitely be at a higher fidelity, give us more understanding of ourselves, and also understanding of working in a team. For example, when I was in my analog, I'm not used to work in a team that much. So that was really my first time camping, let's say something similar to camping. I have never tried that before,
Yeah.
sleeping outside my home in a remote area with people that I don't know much yet. I mean, not that much. I know them, but not as much as
Of
living
course.
with them for a while. So I went to an EVA and I started to think alone. I forgot that I have a team, that I should connect with them and tell them what to do. And I made a mistake, and I learned that mistake about myself, and I'm trying to correct it. So we do learn about a lot about ourselves, how we're going to prepare ourselves, not only for space as you mentioned, but also for other life situations. Sometimes we get in an emergency where you have to go through a situation where you need to know how to deal with these people and how to keep calm and know exactly what are the steps. So yeah, I believe that that's the benefits of
Yeah.
analogs.
Absolutely. Isolation is the worst advisor because we start to go in circles about what is happening. And a lot of times they're just story and it's not reality, right? And so we have these powerful resources. And yet, how often do we see in the workplace that people are trying to do it all themselves because they have this belief that they should, or they need to prove themselves so that if they ask for help, it's a sign of weakness, when actually, the strongest thing is to accept and acknowledge, hey, I don't know what I'm doing here. Let me go to the expert who does, because you can leverage that blind spot. And that's why teams are so powerful. That's why with a team, it's not 1 + 1 = 2, right? We
Yeah.
have exponential gain. We get into these flow states and we can spark ideas in each other. And this is a really powerful thing. It's interesting. Culturally, there's so many differences based on where you grew up, what school you went to, even what you studied, right? The way an
Yes.
artist major would think versus an engineering major. And then how we bring these together. And so, for someone who wants to learn more about analogs, no matter where they're based, what would you encourage them to do?
I would encourage them to read about it. because there's a lot of resources out there can tell you more about analogs. And right now, because there's more than one analog operating in the world in different places, maybe you can follow their activities. For example, some of the analogs, they are actually running their analogs in a very interesting places. The Arctic, some people
Mm,
in Antarctica, I'm not pretty sure there's some, but some people doing their analogs in a very cold places, and other people in a very hot places like Arizona
mm,
and so the Mojave Desert, for example, or other people doing it in tunnels like in Switzerland. So if you can get to know or follow these analogs, get in touch with the activities, or not get in touch, get to know their activities and the outcome and the entire journey they are in right now, you're gonna learn a lot. And even if you wanna experience being an analog astronaut, I mean, the door is open for everyone. You can apply anytime for any of these analogs. You can choose the one that you feel like you want to go to it, and then apply. And if you were accepted, then you are an analog astronaut, and you get
yes.
to try it yourself. And I highly recommend it, because I am, as an analog astronaut, right now, I feel like I want to try all the other analogs. I don't want to only try this one. I really want to see the others. I want to experience each one of them, because each mission will help you and will teach you something different from the other, about yourself, about the team, about isolation, being in a remote
Mm,
place, being alone, working in a team, knowing how to use your abilities, your skills, your knowledge, and what is the direction you want to go. So, for example, as an engineer for in the mission, when I get back from the mission, I started to say, okay, I need to learn a lot of things about a lot of things, or at least one thing about a lot of things, because problems and issues will pop up without you knowing that it's going to happen. And as an engineer, as a problem solver mindset, you need to solve everything. That's what they think you're going to do.
yes.
So I need to prepare myself. So that's directed me even more to read about analogs, about the habitats, about the problems and issues that might occur during the mission, the sink, the bathroom will flood, or any other problems, and or the solar power shutdown, how you're gonna make sure that every device, engineering device, working correctly.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a thing that will um, just educate yourself about it, and it will lead you to where you should go next.
I love that. Yeah, because there are, some of the analogs are more advanced and some are more technical, right? They're doing deep research. They're really looking for specialized scientists or engineers. But there are also analogs like high seas and different ones where you can go for the 1 week or 2 week experience. You're still being productive and conducive to research, but it's in a different way, right? And so it's not limiting, you don't have to have a science degree, you don't have to have an engineering degree or ever have worked in space before in order to go and be a part of this community, which is very exciting for a lot of people. So for everyone who's watching, I would encourage you to also do some research. Check out the Analog Astronaut Conference that's happening in May. I think maybe tickets are close to being sold out. But
Yes.
there's a lot of speakers that come there and talk about these different missions, talk about the findings that they've had from their experiences and the research that they're furthering. Terry, who was commenting earlier, definitely shared a lot about his work in the Arctic, and then also very scary information regarding microplastics. But it's really, really important that we build awareness on these things and we all learn how we as individuals can contribute and come together in community to further these missions, to further this research and solve problems in different ways, right? Because the status quo is not working. So we need to innovate and we need to look at, like you said, what are you doing over there? Right. And that's
Yeah.
one of the things I love about the space programs, because yes, there's the political things that get in the way, but the scientists all want to communicate with each other and all want to share this information for the
Absolutely.
the advancement of the science, society, technology, and the same thing in the analog community. And yet then we still see these like silos, this big analog group over here is not necessarily getting information from this one, but if they come together, wow, Like the
Yes,
sky truly is no longer the limit, right? We can go beyond that
it's the start.
into deep space exploration. Yes, I'm going to get very punny. I do this all the time.
No, it's okay. I mean, you said the sky is not the limit. I mean, the sky is the start. Right now,
Yeah.
there's no limits. Limit word, it's not in our dictionary anymore. So what you said is absolutely correct because merging the analogs together will definitely gain the experience from each side and merge them together and make the knowledge and the data coming out of these two analogs together even more. And the Analog Astronaut Conference did that to me. For example, I started to get to know the benefits coming from this
Mm,
analog and the benefits from this analog. And when you merge them together, you will start to bridging the gap between these analog astronauts and the new ideas, the new
mm,
opportunities, the new solutions. So that was the conference itself. I believe it builds the relationship between the people outside the analog, where their minds are more clear and the ideas floating around them. They only need to sit down together and talk together to catch these ideas and build the biggest analog together. So
yeah.
how that's how I see it. Connections is the most powerful thing in the world because
Mm,
you get to meet people. You might have an idea because you're talking to this person. By yourself you're not going to get it
right.
because you were inspired by their facial expression, by their tone of voice, by their energy, by their vibration, by their everything. So that's why meeting people is such a great start for analogs, and the Analog Astronaut Conference is the let's say the door or like the gate for you to get into analogs. So I highly recommend everyone who's listening. I mean, the
Mhm.
tickets are almost sold out, and I really encourage you to go. I went there last year. I'm really excited to go this year. I'm just planning my timing and my schedule. And Sarah's going, right?
Yes, I'm going to be there. I'll be emceeing some of the days there.
Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to share this link and then we'll put it in the comments after as well, where you can still, that's a very long link. But if you go to analogastronaut.com, AAC 2024, you'll be able to navigate your way and get tickets. But we'll post it on LinkedIn after we finish the live today. But what I would also like to highlight is, for those of you who are based overseas, you're not in a major space hub like the US or somewhere in Europe or Australia or somewhere like that. uh, Start to just find out about these organizations, right? There's things like the Planetary Society, there's the Analog Astronaut Community. There's actually, yes, there's a conference, but there's a whole community that you can get involved with and start to learn and network with other people. There's Earthlight Foundation based in Texas, which is talking about the philosophies, not only for here on Earth, but how do we manage Earth and space together, because they're not separate. They're actually very intertwined and part of the same system. And we have an event on Monday for April 22nd, which is Earth Day. We're relabeling that as Earth Space Day, and we'll have a panel of speakers. It'll be streamed live earlier in the day as well. There's something by Cosmic Citizen Trainings, the Human Space Program, and Moon Village Association. So there's all this programming about space policy, lunar exploration, what is Earth Space Day, SDG 18, sustainability. And this is a great way for you to get started so that you can learn, okay, what's happening in this space? How can I start to acquire this knowledge and maybe connect with these speakers on LinkedIn and follow the events that they're putting together? Because there are several international space conferences as well in different parts of the globe. There was just one, I believe, what was it that was in, like, was it Baku, something last
Yeah.
year or this year?
The International Astronautics Conference.
Yes, IAC, that's right. I was thinking of, like, there's so many acronyms
Yeah.
to get used to. So I was trying to think, I was like, no, that one's too long. But there are conferences, there are also scholarships, as you mentioned, to be able to attend these events, to be able to take some of these specialized training certifications and degrees, a lot of online universities now. So these barriers to entry are really disappearing, which is awesome, because we really can benefit from all the brilliant minds all over the world. And if you have a passion for space, I really encourage you to start finding how you can get involved, even if it's just virtual to begin with, to
Yes.
have these conversations, to start to learn about paths like your Salam, or others, and how they got started, who did they talk to, who's a mentor, because that's how you begin. And then now the landscape is different, right? Like Cyan Proctor went to space because she won her seat with a poem, an amazing poem. But
Yes.
20 years ago, if you would have told me that I could write poetry and go to space, I would have not believed you. And I did write poetry, but I just, you always thought fighter, pilot, military, that's the only option. But
Yeah.
it's changing, right? And once Starship is operational, that changes the game as price comes down, as accessibility increases. So there's a
Yes.
lot of things we're going to start to see in the next coming decades that are really going to shift how we think about space. And so we want to educate as many people as we can about how can you get involved, even if it's just a passion, but you don't necessarily want to join full time. But we still need accountants. We still need social media marketers. We still need
Yeah.
comms experts, lawyers, right? There's many, many ways to get involved that don't require engineering or physics or mathematics, which is usually what I think people start to think of when they think of this realm.
Yes, 100%. Like, I mean, every time I go to a university or a lecture here in Jordan locally, I start with space for everyone, space for humanity. You can't say space for engineers because, as you mentioned, the space tourism, once it's going higher and more advanced with the Starship and other projects, I believe the demand for different specialization are going to be on a rise as well. And I believe that people should start paying attention to the space industry because, from my own perspective, I believe it's going to change a lot of things. You don't have to be an astronaut. You can be one of the team that will help humanity go to space,
Yeah.
because we need everyone. I mean, literally, we need everyone. Like, you can't just go to NASA requirement and put yourself in that box because you don't need to be. You don't need to follow these requirements only to be an astronaut because there's citizen astronaut program and commercial astronauts. And as you said, the astronauts, when they started to go to the ISS, they started
Mm.
to say we can't we can't express our feelings. We need artists. That's why Sam Proctor made her way up because they need um, poems to be written there. They need people to transfer the artist perspective of these artists. So we need everyone to go up and tell us how to live. We can't live with an engineer and a doctor only. We need chefs. We need people to
Yeah.
keep our health good. Physicists. I mean, we need a lot of other people, and that's will definitely open the door for everyone who loves space. Or you don't have to be in love with the space to be in the space industry,
Mm.
but as the space industry started to need, like, there's a lot of demand for other specialized and other people to get into the space industry. That's a good reason to get into space.
Yeah.
And why not? I mean, if someone called me and told me, okay, you want to see to go to space? Do you want to go to space? Even if I don't love space, I will definitely say yeah, right?
Yes.
So it's for everyone. I 100% agree with you. And everyone who's listening right now, space for humanity, trust me, whether you like it or not, space for everyone. And you're going to see a lot of people up there. Don't ask me why they are up there, but we need them all.
Yes, absolutely. Well, and there's actually an organization called Space for Humanity as well.
Yes.
And, they've sent up citizen astronauts, and then these astronauts have come back and they're doing great change, societal change back here on Earth. And that's the thing too, right? I'm the type of person where, um, I've actually said to my partner before, hey, if you come home and there's like no sign of a struggle and all my things are here and I'm just gone, I'm probably on a super secret space mission and I just like left. I just had to go. And he
Yeah.
laughed and I was like, I'm not joking. And he's like, I know you're not. It's okay. But other people are not that way. They're like, nope, no, thank you, no interest. I'd rather stay here on Earth. But we can still use you in the space industry because we need you. We need those people to keep us grounded. We need mission control. We need the engineers down here as well. So there's a lot of different areas for you to explore. And then also this brings the concept wider, right? Like Frank White talks about the overview effect.
Of
And that
course.
is that when you go into space and you look back at Earth for the first time, there's generally this sense of awe, this feeling that overcomes you. And it's very similar to when you go, climb a mountain, the Himalayas, you kind of come over this peak and you see the landscape, or you stare up at the Milky Way at night. These experiences that make you realize that we are just this tiny little pinprick on this spinning rock in Earth, in space. And, we're really, really, really tiny, and we're part of something bigger. And,
Yes.
an engineer trying to describe that feeling, that emotion that also you can't really use words to describe is very, very difficult. So making sure we have people, I want to go to the moon, yes, but I also want it to be aesthetically pleasing at some point, right? We need functionality, but think about how many things in your life, in your home right now, in your office, that you bought more for the aesthetics than you did for its function and its form,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Why do people buy iPhones and Apple computers? Right? There's so many other options. Why do we buy anything? Right? There's sometimes it's pure function, and sometimes it's a combination, and sometimes it's just it was beautiful and it made me feel good to have it there, and so I have it there. Right?
Yes.
So there's all of these things that we need, like in any society, right? There's always the science, the arts, the humanities, the physical, the relational. There's all these different experiences that make it human, and we will
Yes.
need
The
that as
feelings.
we expand. Yes, the feeling, as we were talking about before we went live, the feeling.
Yes. Yeah, I absolutely agree with the human side of it, because you don't have to choose a thing because
Mm.
it's good for you or it's the best. You can only choose it because you feel good having it, or you
Yeah.
feel proud achieving it, or because you wanted it. It doesn't matter why. So sometimes I ask myself, like, why do I want to be an astronaut? It's really
Right.
hard. I mean, it's the hardest job in the world. Nobody can deny that. But I
No.
mean, yeah, it is hard. Even being a mechanical engineer, being an engineer, or being a woman in engineering in general, it's
Yeah.
not that easy. But I love to be that person because I love fixing things. When I see something is broken, I just jump to it and try to fix it. So this thing, it doesn't have to be only for males, for example. It could be for
Mhm.
anybody else. So
Yeah.
the idea of trying to gain what you feel like you wanted, and you feel like it's going to be good in the world. Some people take care of their garden not because it is necessary to take care of your front garden, or to see flowers. I mean, because they love to smell it, they love to see it.
Yeah. The
Some
experience.
Yeah, they clean their house like every single day, and they don't have to clean it every single day, but because they feel more clean doing that. So the
Yeah.
feeling that it's coming from being in a space itself, such a great thing. Even the curiosity of our humanity. I mean, we
Mm.
are a curious creature. We want to know what's behind this universe. I
Yeah.
mean, for me as a person, when I look to the sky, I see the past, because when you wanna even the sun, we're not
Yeah.
gonna you need 8 minutes before you see its light, right? So you're definitely looking to the past. But because we are very curious creatures, we want to know more. That's why we're developing technology, and we're writing scientific papers. We're working and studying 24 hours. Some people, because we love the feeling, and I'm telling you, that could also reflect to analogs. We love to go outside and experience a new thing, not only staying at home and having fun with our family, but also going outside and try high fidelity experiences, right?
Mm.
So you can reflect it to everything around you. That's
Yeah.
why I want to be in space. Space is such a new and something unique. I mean, when you talk about space, something higher, I feel like higher power, something that it's beyond Earth, something that's new and with a good and positive energy. That's why I recommend all people to think about the space in that way.
Yeah. I love that. And I love that you brought up when we look at the sky, we're looking at the past. All of these lights we see, they're sometimes like thousands of years old, right?
100%.
And isn't that just incredible that we are experiencing in this way? And it really can, we could dive down rabbit holes of time and all sorts of constructs here, but it's really I got this sense of wonder and awe as you were speaking. And I love that you said humans are curious creators because we all are. Think about babies. Babies are always like picking everything up and putting it in their mouth and, trying to figure out the world around them. And, as we grow older, we start to limit ourselves a little bit because we buy into a narrative and we start to go down a certain path, which is why I love that you said it's really important to celebrate the small achievements, because in celebrating those small achievements, we can bring back that awe and that wonder. And it also makes us more aware of all the things that are constantly taking place around us. It can be so easy to think like, oh, I didn't win the bid, or I didn't get accepted to the program, or, whatever the thing is. But wow, there's still so many amazing things that are happening, right? And last
Yeah.
night I was on a walk and I saw lightning bugs. I haven't seen these little lightning bugs for, I don't know, maybe 10 years, right? And it was just really, I felt like a little kid looking at them, right? I actually giggled, and my dog saw them and she was kind of following them. And it was just a really special moment. But we can experience those things every single day when we start to celebrate our achievements. So, can you tell me a little bit more about how you started to do that for yourself and how you can encourage others? What are some of the achievements that people might not think are worth celebrating, but very much are?
Well, let's start from school because we
Yeah.
spend so much time at school. I was embracing the higher mark I get. So the first time I got a full mark, I don't remember the subject, but I was really happy to the point that I really wanted to see this full mark again. And I
Mm,
started to hustle and hard work and I was studying all time just to get a full mark again, to the point even at my school, not high school, I mean at college, I was literally writing a full mark into a notebook like this, like notes sticker on my wall, and I write like a full mark, and I was like working because I want to get this full mark because I love the feeling, because
mm,
the feeling of getting a full mark is good and makes me feel proud of myself, and the small achievements, the small success will lead to the other one, and the
mm.
other one will lead to the other one. So
Yeah.
each time if you celebrate enough, and you feel proud of yourself, you admire yourself, and you say thank you to yourself, that will definitely boost you to go to your next success. And I can reflect that in one incident that happened in my life. Maybe if it's in a story, maybe I can
Yes,
say it
please share. Yeah.
very quickly. And I can tell you, if I said no
Mm,
and I withdraw that thing that I will tell you about, probably I'm not going to be here with you or meet you
mm,
or go to the International Astronautics Conference or any conference in the world or becoming a spacesuit designer. So it only takes one decision for you, and hard work and one success to have a series of other successes. So, for
mm,
example, when I applied for my first competition to design a spacesuit, I had a team of 4 people. Three of them are mechanical engineers, and one of them is my friend's sister. She was younger, but she was like passionate about space, and we participated in the competition. And 5 days before the deadline, 2 people of the team, they said that we cannot continue. We will withdraw the competition. We don't want to continue. And I was like, why do you wanna stop, the hard work that we started? They mentioned that the level of the competition is higher than what we can do. And I was
mm.
like, okay, maybe everyone will say the same sentence, and we ended up we are the best, right? So I
Mm.
refused. I said, no, I'm not going to withdraw. If you want to leave, you can leave, but I want to continue. And I
Yeah.
continued with that girl, my friend's sister, and we won the first stage. And at
Amazing.
that moment, I felt massive happiness. I
Mm,
was celebrating this small success to the point that I was that close to not have this success ever in my life. And
yeah.
from that that incident that happened, that I said no and I continued, and I had to work double of the time. I won the competition. I designed one suit and another two suits and another two suits, and I become a spacesuit designer and getting so much scholarships and getting into the space industry and meeting you, Sarah, and sitting here in this podcast. So the small success that happened that back then, because of one good decision that I have made, it led
Mhm.
me to a lot of other success that I am experiencing right now, and accomplishments that I am so humbled and proud of, and I want to share and inspire other people with.
Yes, I love that. Thank you for sharing the story because a lot of times we forget about all the micro steps that got us somewhere. And I was speaking at a conference in February, and one of the other speakers talked about how did you get in this room, Ryan Leake. And he mapped out how he had gotten in that room, how he was on the stage. And there were maybe like 50 people's names, maybe 30, maybe 50 is too much, maybe 30 people's names that he like backtracked the breadcrumb trail to a seemingly innocent moment, conversation, at some point in time. But all of those things led to the right conversation with the right person that led to the next thing, that led to the next thing, that led to the next thing. And all of a sudden, he's hired as one of the speakers for this conference. And it's really powerful to begin to do that, right? So I love that you outlined that if you had given up and you had believed that you didn't have enough or that you couldn't try and see what happens, that you wouldn't be here on this podcast because you wouldn't have all those other things in between that led you to the Analog Astronaut Conference where we met, right?
Yes,
And
100%.
it's so powerful to look at it that way. So thank you for breaking it down because there are so many of us who we self-edit,
Yes,
right? We put the cage, we close the cage door and we like lock ourselves in there and we say, no, 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 I don't meet the requirement. I don't have that degree. I don't know how to do this yet. You don't know how to do it yet, right?
yes,
But because of that, when you keep going, those other people who self-edit, they start to fall away. And you may not meet the mark 100%. Nobody ever does. There's no such thing as perfection, right?
of
But
course.
also, if you are meeting the mark 100%, you've shot too low. You're not stretching, you're not growing, right? We always want to just push a little bit and it's going to feel uncomfortable, but that's how we grow. And so
100%.
saying yes, even when it feels like, I don't know what I'm doing, I think that's like me every day. You know, the more, you get older, the more you realize what you don't know. And that's okay, right? When we're young, we're so hungry and we're excited, we're curious, and we try to do it all, but that's a quick way to burn out. So I love that you shared that.
Thank you. No, I mean, if it's a way to inspire other people to take the risk, because
Yeah.
it's you can't guarantee that this exact opportunity at that exact moment, at that exact age and mindset will come back again. You will never
Right.
know. Uh,
Right.
because if I right now, if I have a competition, the same competition, I might say no because maybe I'm overqualified, for example. But at that, for example, I mean, you don't have to take it that way, but if you go back to that exact time, I was literally knowing nothing about spacesuits. I had no even idea how I'm going to solve the challenges of the competition. I was searching with the hunger that I want to know, like this challenge
Yeah.
should be solved. I don't know why, I don't know how, I don't know when, and I was digging deep. So you need to take the opportunity. Right now, sometimes some opportunities show up to me and I feel like I know nothing about it, but I say sometimes yes because I want to learn. There's a three words I never say or I don't have it in my mind. Impossible, nothing is impossible. There's no
Mm.
such word called impossible. Impossible. Second
Okay.
one, second one, I can't.
Mm-hmm.
I can't yet. Acceptable, but I can't, it's not a word like you can use it. I can't yet because you can learn, and I don't know yet. because you can educate yourself. We're creatures that we can learn, we can educate ourselves, we can try, we can gain experience, we can be wherever we wanna go. But we need to take the extra, let's say, the extra. We need to go the extra mile. We need to do that. It's kind of a hard work, dedication. It takes a lot of focus, laser focus. I'm not gonna lie and telling you I haven't had doubts in my way to here, because when I was a teenager, I was always thinking that I want to go somewhere else than space because it started to feel boring. There's no activities in Jordan, no space camps, nobody's is interested in what I am interested in. So I started to go to be an artist. I went to
Mm,
the theater and other activities to become an artist. But then when I went to another level, which is high school, I was like, no, wait, I want to be an astronaut. How I became an artist out of a sudden? I can still become and be an artist, but also an astronaut. So that's
yeah,
where I started to get back on track and feeling that no, I don't have to stop what I am dreaming of. I can't stop dreaming. I need to keep going. Even if I love something else, I can manage them both together. And I continue to be an artist and somehow with my family and other
yeah.
activities. Also, I put myself in the space industry. And by the way, I didn't know at any point that I wanted to be a spacesuit designer. I only knew that I wanted to be in the space industry. I even in 2018 I followed all the celebrities in space industry, all the astronauts and the people, even the young passionate the kids or students that they write on their username Astro
Yes.
Julia, yeah. I was following them all to the point that I started to feel depression that I am
Mm,
not there. I don't know how to get there. I am not doing the same things that they are doing. So what I did at that point, I unfollowed them all and I
mm,
started to focus on how I am going to put myself there. And 5 years later, I followed them again and I find it out that we are in the same level somehow. So you
mm.
only need to focus on yourself. Don't compare yourself to other people because each person has their own path. That's another thing that I would love to share with everyone who's listening from my own experience, my humble experience, and that there's a lot of other doors that you can knock. You don't know, maybe I might be ended up in satellites design or
Yeah.
in a spacecraft, but I ended up in spacesuit design because that was the opportunity that popped up at that moment, right?
Yes. Yeah,
So you don't know.
absolutely. And sometimes you don't know what you love or don't like until you do it, right?
Thank you.
And this you just reminded me last year when I submitted a poem in this contest, and the theme was moon. So of course I was like, I love the moon. It's like I'm going to write this poem, and I wrote this poem and I submitted it, and I forgot all about it. And a couple months later, I got this email that said, we're so sorry your poem wasn't selected to be published. Thank you for your entry. And I just went, nah, okay, I like my poem. I'll do it again next time. But then 2 days later, I realized that that was the first time that I didn't go, oh my gosh, Sarah, how embarrassing. Why did you even submit? What a waste of time. You're clearly not good enough. You should stop writing. Like in the past, that's what I would have thought.
Yeah,
And so I celebrated. Talk about celebrating small moments. I just celebrated going, wow, my mindset shifted. And I wrote that poem for me. So it doesn't matter if it wasn't selected, right?
yeah,
And I kid you not, 5 minutes later, I had my computer sound on, which it's never on, and I had the little email ding. I was like, "That's weird. How do I turn that sound off?" And I went and checked my email, and they had emailed me back saying, "We're so sorry. Your poem was selected, and you will be published." And I was like, "Wow."
wow.
I feel like this was a test from the universe of, did you write that for other people to get the gold star, or did you write it for you? And then because I did it for me, also that feeling was so different. Because if you chase things so that other people applaud you, so that you can be better than someone else, or, just get these awards or whatever, it's
Yeah,
very, very hollow. And it only lasts, it's like a drug. It only lasts for a short time. And then you need more and more. And as soon as you win, you're like, yay. Okay, what's the next thing? What's the next thing? Right. And we can
yes,
get sucked into this rat race of achievement and like, oh, look at all these things, but you're not really connected anymore. And so it's really powerful that you brought that up, because when you are just focusing on you and your journey and what feels good for you, despite what other people tell you, that's going to be where you find the most success, because every time you have a little win, you celebrate, you get more dopamine that is responsible for your drive and motivation. But you know, it's the best example is if your mom and dad tell you to do something, you don't want to do it, right? You just resist. And it might even be something that you like, but because someone else told you, you know, it just
Yes,
doesn't work. But
yes,
as soon as you, so it's the same thing, even if it's like other people's society telling you, hey, you should want this, you should want to be a NASA astronaut, you should want to, you know, be an engineer, you should want to do marketing, whatever it is, unless that's really, you know, you dive in within yourself and truly connect the dots for it being something that you want, you know, you won't be able to explore. So the mindset that I hear you saying is really having this like, wouldn't it be fun to enter this competition? Wouldn't it be fun to see if we can do it? Like, why not? You know, I don't know
why
what I'm
not?
doing here totally, but that's okay. I'll learn along the way. And then in doing that, Salam, you've been on BBC. You're now this like spacesuit specialist. You're about to launch a company where you're going to make these suits available for analog missions and also have them available for other fields, right? Not just for space. And you know, who would have known that you would have come up with a sustainable cooling system with these multi-layered composite materials for these missions? You know, no one could have predicted that, not even you. And yet, because you decided to say, what if, let's just have some fun, now you're here.
Yes, 100%. I mean, even the typical road for every student who graduates, you need to go and find a job from 8 to 5 and
Yeah.
get experience and move forward. And I said, no, I don't want to do that. I mean, everybody's gonna do it. So who's gonna do the other things? Who's gonna
Right?
make a business? I
Yes.
started to think that I still have time. Maybe I have 5 years to try other things. I don't have to go from graduation to job immediately. I
Right.
need to experience other things. Maybe I want to study master. Maybe I want to get a master degree or a PhD or other things. So I really wanted to try something else, and I felt the need to try. So it's not the question is not why you are opening your business, it's why not
Yeah.
opening a business, right?
Yeah.
Why not? I mean, it worth opening, like investing 5 years of your time, or maybe more or less, to try and learn from a business and from your own. Like, I'm passionate about material science, let's say, or about spacesuit design. So how can I think in a way and shift my mindset to twist this an entire closest aircraft to the human, which is the spacesuit, into something we can use it on Earth, and we can benefit out of it. We can market it, we can sell it, make a mass production. Think like an engineer and a businessman. How can you learn all these steps, becoming a CEO and a founder, and learning the skills and the overwhelming job that it's not from 8 to 5, it's a
Yeah.
24 hour, yeah, 7 days a week, right? It's
Right.
it's doing the hardest part of it, and see how enjoyable when you accept, when you get a client, or you win a project, or you start working, or having a salary, let's say, that
Mm,
you are paying for yourself, not first last, because you're paying other people as well. So you're helping yourself, you're helping other people, you're
yeah.
making something new to the world and to the humanity. So that's how I see myself, serving myself and serving other people. And 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 I believe that having your own business, it's not an easy step, but if
Mm,
you believe in yourself and you feel like you can do it, because you cannot overwhelm yourself when you are not ready yet. You need to be ready to take the steps, and it's worth trying. That's
yeah.
why I decided to open my own business, and it's going to be launched very soon,
That's awesome.
hopefully, to design suits, analog suits, and
Yeah.
also specialized personal protective equipments for everyone who wants to go on adventure on Earth or in space.
Beautiful. I love that. And I love this um, why not mentality,
Yeah.
because, just see what happens, right? You don't know where the end road is going to be. And I think a lot of people struggle with wanting to know the end result, the how, myself included, right? We can get overwhelmed trying to think about all the little details and all of the things. But when we tap into that bigger picture and we treat it like a game, I mean, that's literally what it is. Life is a game, right?
Yes.
And when we can start to have fun with it, that's where the spark comes from. That's where the magic happens. And as Mikhail just said, it's you're helping serve as a role model for many who could follow because they're seeing you take this courageous step. And, we don't need to be restricted by our gender, by our age, by our location. If you have a
No.
great idea, start putting it out there. There's so many platforms. There's GoFundMe. There's, you can put things on Fiverr. You can get experience. Listening to you speak about, oh, I could have gone and done this job from 8 to 5,
Yes.
or I could have given myself this experience and studied and found mentors and created my own thing, is just incredible because not everyone thinks that way. And that's okay too. Not
Yeah.
everyone needs to do that. Some people would much prefer the other more structured traditional route. As our world grows, though, think about the sharing economy we have, right? Airbnb,
Yes.
Uber, Turo, all of these apps now, the Fiverr and Upwork, but there's websites like that for lawyers, for accountants, right? Fractional chief marketing officers. There's so many different ways to explore and play with different ways of being, different ways of earning money and contributing back to society and doing it with the mindset of like, well, why not? What's the
Why
worst that
not?
can
Yeah.
happen? All these big people that we see that, we overnight success, right? And we look at them, they've had a lot of bankruptcies, near bankruptcies, absolute utter failures of products, and then had to kind of go back to the drawing board. But they were willing to do that because they were driven by something else and they saw that there was this possibility. And I think if we stop thinking of it as like opportunity to grab everything and it's more of like, what is possible here? How can we expand the boundaries of what everyone thinks is possible just by 1%? Because over time, you know, when I was a kid, this technology in Star Trek was a dream that was
Yeah.
so far off. Now, all of that stuff is commonplace with the exception of a few things, right? And we're not
Yeah.
necessarily that far from some of those things either. And so I love hearing you speak about how you just are willing to try and willing to fall and get back up again, because that is really a skill set that helps no matter what realm you're in, what industry, what job, anything.
Exactly. It's the mindset at the end. It's how
Yeah.
you think about it. I mean, everything will stay still until you think about it in a different way.
Mm,
So the traveling around the world is applicable to everyone. People
yes.
will say, "Why would I put that much money to travel the world?" And other people will say, "Why not? Go and
Yes.
travel the world," right? So and some people say if you collect all the money in the world and distribute it equally to everyone, after a period of time, it will ended up in the pockets of the same people that they had it or they have it right now because of their mindset. They know how
Mm,
they're gonna do it again and again. You don't earn, let's say, um, the tangible thing, which is money or wealth or something. Rather, you will gain a mindset, skill, and
mm,
experience. Even if you lost it one day, you know how to do it again. That's why the people who just become successful in one night, let's say, they don't know how to manage it or they don't know how to maintain it until they change their mindset.
yeah.
And if that's encourage other people to go this path, that doesn't mean that this is the only path you have, because other
Right.
people who works from say 8 to 5, they are super innovators, they are super talented, they contribute to our everyday life to be more advanced and to be more comfortable and to deliver the demand of goods and other stuff. So we need everyone, but also
Yeah.
we need to train ourselves to program our minds the way we want. And that's exactly what I'm doing right now. Sometimes I feel myself like, why I am thinking that way. It's okay if I didn't get that project done, or it's okay if I didn't have that thing on the right time. Because if you let it go and do what you have to do, it will come. sooner or later. You just have
Yeah.
to let it to set it free, and and see when it's gonna happen. Because if you believe enough in it, it's gonna definitely happen in your life. And
Yes.
that's the greatest message I have learned through my humble experience in general. Yes.
I love that. Yes, you create your own gravity, right? Because you believe in something and it draws the right people to you, right? When we
Yeah.
chase the approval of everybody, then nobody wins. Yourself, the other people, nobody's happy because you become wishy washy and you just try to please whoever's in front of you. But when
Yes.
you are so rooted in, like, I believe in this, I'm doing this, and this is why, and you're connected to that, that creates its own gravity, and then things fall into your orbit without even needing to try, right? And it's a lot of the time just paying attention to the mindset, like you said, which I know we both did space kind training, and
Yes.
that definitely helps a lot with the attention. You were space kind 7, right?
Yes.
Yes.
With I was in Space Kind 7 with, not with Terry, I mean with Sam.
So with Sam, amazing. Yes, and
Yeah.
I was space kind 10. I know Jonathan Stroud popped in earlier. He was in my level 2, and then he just redid it, space kind 12. And there's actually space kind 13 getting started up on May 7th. It's an
Yeah.
8-week journey. Well, actually, it'll be 9 weeks because we have an intro call, but we do follow the hero's journey, and we go on this leadership quest, if you will, and we really dive into um, our mindset, and how we show up and the choices that we make. And if you're interested in space at all, it's a wonderful program because you really get to network and learn from incredible people that are doing all sorts of things, right? And every time we go to a space event, what's the first thing that happens? Who's in space kind? And everybody's like putting up
Space
their
Kind
hand,
community.
right? And I saw
Yeah.
you were a Yuri's Night ambassador as well.
Yes, it was such a great opportunity for me to be in that international celebration of space exploration in general that's happening in a lot of places around the world. But speaking of space kind, for me, it's kind of humankind, but it's kind of a space team. You're still a
Yeah.
human. You will interact with the humans, and you will express your feelings and your ups and downs, your good things and bad things, your week and whatever you want to share with these humans, but in the theme of a space, in the space community. And that will lead us that we are, or lead us to a question: are we prepared as a humans to go to space or not? Because we want
Mm,
to build civilizations there, right? We want
yeah.
to know how to communicate with each other as a humans still. So
Yes.
I believe Space Kind 1 and 2 is such an introductory for us as humans to learn the basics, the roots of becoming humankind in a space kind.
Mm, yes. Oh my goodness. I'm gonna have to tell Loretta. She's gonna have to put this on the website.
Yeah.
um, and it's so true. I did Space Kind level 1 and 2 last year, and then I became a group lead this year. So I was group lead for Space Kind 12. I'll be doing it again for Space Kind 13 because not only am I getting the opportunity to give back to the community and contribute, but I get to go through the content again. And even though I've had these lessons before, even though I've done the work, excuse me, I'm getting so choked up. See, I'm getting emotional. Even though I've done these things, when you come back to it, you can reflect better to other people, but you can
Yes.
also say, like, whoa, last year my mindset was this. Look at how much I've grown. This is no longer a problem. I don't even think that way anymore, right? And so it's a really powerful way to explore your own mind and, revisit the questions. I still talk with my accountability buddies from the
Buddies.
previous program. Yeah, so maybe this is an opportunity for you, Salam, for everyone else who's watching. Go reach out to your Space Kind buddy. Or if you haven't done Space Kind, if you have someone that you used to kind of talk to regularly and bounce ideas off of, go send them a message, check in on them, see how they're doing. If they've ever shared that they're working on something, ask them how it's going, and see how you might be able to provide some support and reflection back to them.
Yes, 100%. I mean, communication is the key, because
Yeah.
you don't know this communication, step that you take with this person, where it's going to lead you, not as a benefit to you, rather as an opportunity, maybe, or
Mm,
rather as a growth that you will grow up from maybe a conversation with them. I had
yeah,
that before when I reach out to some friend and they tell me about a situation that happened with them, whether it's good or bad. I started to learn from their experience, and that's definitely will help me grow because communication is a key, especially if it's international communication. When you go to an like astronaut conference, you meet people from all the world.
yeah.
I mean, literally, like from everywhere. And even I met people from Egypt and from Egypt, from Morocco, from Jordan as well.
Mexico.
So yeah,
Yeah,
Mexico, my best friend David. I mean,
yeah,
yeah, you get to meet people from all around the world. You learn from their experience, their culture, and you might travel the world, but only by having friends from these places without going there, because they
yeah,
might bring the country itself by talking to you. I
yeah,
felt like I went to Mexico hundreds of times every time I talk to David. I don't
yeah,
have to go to Mexico to know how they look like or they feel like or what kind of energy they have, because I have a friend who shares everything about his country. And
mm,
also it reflects to me. Some people, they started to know a lot of things about Jordan because I share my culture with them. So
yeah,
the communication itself, it's kind of the way how you can serve humanity. And that's
mm,
one of the questions that you asked me, and I was
yeah,
thinking, yeah, you can share your feelings, your culture, the way your face expressions, your laugh, how you cry, even how you express your feeling, the way you speak, the way you dance, the way you move, the way you sing. It's all
yeah,
it will transmit the culture itself. So I
yeah,
believe that communication is key number one. So space kind is your way, is your destination, and I believe that we need more courses. I don't need only space kind one and two. I need three, four, five. I mean, I need a full course for a year with the space kind to learn even more.
Amazing. Well, I will make sure to let Loretta and Christina know that we need to develop the deeper trainings. And, there's long-term visions for that. And it's ultimately, what I loved about it too, especially because there's alternating times. So the one that's coming up on May 7, it takes place in like the middle of the day for North America, but that allows people in Europe or even in your part of the world to join, and it's not 2 a.m., right?
Yes,
And so you can get exposed to so many different cultures and identities. But what I loved was that, yeah, everyone kind of says what they do when on the first call, but by the end of the call, the way people describe themselves is so different.
yes,
And it's less about what they do or what technical skill they have, but how they're showing up as a human. And it's really powerful to be in those experiences. And then, like Nicole Bellato was in my space kind, and I saw her when I was in Florida. So she was like, "Oh my gosh, I see you're here!" And so we got together and we had dinner with her husband. We got ice cream, and it's really cool to be able to have that opportunity. Then, when you do travel and have that opportunity, you might be able to find someone from the space community and connect with them, and then learn more about them, right? And have that in person experience. Even at Analog Astronaut Conference, I was talking to someone for like an hour about tattoos,
wow.
and that's not something you would think would happen at a space conference, right? But we were having this really great conversation and it kind of started to weave into philosophy. And then he walked away and someone was like, "Oh, yeah, he used to do like human factors for NASA." And I was like, "What?" No wonder I liked him.
Yeah,
But at no
right.
point was it like, "Oh, this is me and this is what I do for this organization," right? A lot of that just was stripped away. We were having a very human experience. And that's what Space Kind offers also.
Yes, 100%. And I just experienced that yesterday. She's not in the space industry yet, but she's a
Yeah.
friend of my niece. And we were like, I known her for a month now. And yesterday she added me on Instagram and she saw me, wearing NASA and this stuff. And she was like, "Oh my God, what are you doing in NASA?" I told her I'm a space designer. She was like, "No way. Like we've been together for a month now and I haven't know that you're a spacesuit designer. That's my dream from since I was a kid, and I really want to be in touch with the space community." And I told her that's easy. I can get you along with them, and I can connect you.
Yeah.
I can build that bridge and bridge the gap between you as people and other people from the other side, from the community itself, from with the ideas as well, with the with the potentials as well. So yeah, it only takes one coincidence, because
Yeah.
the universe works for us, with
Yes.
us, not against us. So it will lead us every time to where we should be, with whom we should know. And that's why I met you, Sarah, and we get
Mhm.
along. We've been in the same team together in that room,
Yeah.
if you remember. So
Yeah.
I think that souls are connected in a way that we don't understand. It's chemistry that's
Mm.
hidden. I don't know how, but just expose yourself and try to get in touch with a lot of people. Encourage yourself to go and get into the experiences, try them, travel the world. Don't sit in one place and stay there. You're not even trees started to travel, right?
Yes, I love that.
Yeah.
And this also helps too because you're helping again expose yourself. You don't have to physically go there, but you can join these communities, you can learn. This opens up your mind. But I do agree with you. There's like this invisible thread that connects people. And there are those people that you meet them and you feel like you've known them forever. But follow those coincidences. And I actually had a coach once tell me, write down all the serendipitous, synchronous things that happen in your day. Because when you start to pay attention to them, you're going to activate your RAS, your reticular activating system, which means you'll notice more of them. So what this
Yes.
is it's like if you buy a red car, all of a sudden you notice all the other red cars on the road, right? Or
100%.
once you go to a certain school, like if you're at UT here in Texas, all of a sudden you notice all the UT like hats and sweaters and everything because you now are noticing because you put your attention there. But before you probably never even paid any attention to a red car or a UT hat or something like that, right? And so,
And even for the bad things, if
yes,
you keep your
exactly. So if you
attention
focus on the bad stuff, you'll just start to notice more and more of that. And it's almost like you're
100%.
inviting it in. So focus on what you want. Actually, in a lot of different modalities of psychology, psychotherapy, healing spaces, when you work with them in the beginning, so many people say, "Oh, I want to be less anxious. I don't want to be stressed. I don't want to be tired." That's the negative form. And our brain actually cancels out the don't want, and it just sees tired, stressed, anxiety, right? But when you
100%.
say things like, I want to be more calm, or I desire more rest, then those are the opportunities you start to notice. But it's very difficult in the beginning to have that switch. And so this is why programs like Space Kind, especially people who are very cerebral, we're intellectual, we love to learn and figure these things out, solve problems. It can be hard to get into the heart and the body, right? And so that's why it's so important, as you mentioned, to have the human experience. We are not just, here to solve math all day long. We are here to have experiences, to feel and to connect with each other.
100%. I mean, yeah, I've been there. I've been there. That person who kept saying that, no, I can't do that. I don't know how to do that. And I started to see that it's not working. I didn't know why until I started to shift it and change it. I can do that. I will try my best to do that. Or I am confident. I am blah, blah, blah. These affirmations, let's say,
Yes.
in any way you want. But I mean, you need to bring or attract the positive vibrations, because as humans we all vibrate. Everything in this world vibrate on different hertz, right? You only attract and interact with the vibrations that are the same as you. So for example, I am a certain person, whether positive or I don't know what kind of vibrations I am, let's say, I will vibrate with the people that they have the same energy, the same vibration.
Yeah.
And I was explaining that to my friend yesterday. I was telling her, energy is working, trust me.
Yes.
If whether you like it or not, it's working. If you
Yes.
think in a very positive way, you will keep attracting the positive things and the positive people into your life, and even the positive opportunities. If you want to be in the space industry, you only need to take the I mean, just put it into your intention. Like, I want to be in the space industry. As I said, I was writing, I want to go to NASA, and I did. I want to
Yeah.
be an astronaut, and I will. Not yet, but I will.
Yes.
I mean,
Me
I
too.
wanna, yeah, I wanna
Maybe
be a
we'll be
scuba
there together.
diver. Yeah, of course. I want to be a scuba diver, and I did. So the thing is, you only need to ask, and the
Yes.
universe will respond, whether you like it or not. So,
Yeah.
whatever a belief system you have within you, it doesn't matter what kind of a belief system, the word believe will definitely attract what you believe in.
Yeah.
So, that's the secret. I mean, this is the golden ticket to whatever
I love
you
it.
want.
I love it. Yes, no, and you know what? I know some people kind of roll their eyes at this, but literally in the science world, right? We live in an attraction-based universe, and we do particles that are observed behave differently than particles that are not observed. And there's so many things that we still do not know about this universe. But to give to your point, Salam, how I met you and how I got to Analog Astronaut Conference. I was at a conference last January where there was a keynote speaker who talked about Michelle Mace Curran. She's a good friend and mentor of mine now. She talked about the dream that we put on the shelf that for whatever reason we didn't chase. What was that dream? And before she even finished her like sentence for the exercise, it was like space. You know, we had our eyes closed. And afterwards, I was talking with the president of the association that was putting on this conference, Ed Bolin, and we had worked together for a while. And he's like, "How did you find this speaker?" I thought she was great. I was like, "Yeah, it was amazing." He's like, "What was your thing that came up?" And I said, "Space." And he's like, "Oh, that's cool." He's like having this conversation back and forth. And he just looked at me at one moment and he said, "You know, with you, Sarah, I don't think it's a matter of if, it's a matter of when." And he proceeded to
Right.
tell me about how many different pathways into space there were. And then he said, "Are you going to the leadership conference? Cyan's going to be there, Dr. Cyan Proctor." And I was like, "Well, I am now." He's like, "Great, I'll introduce you." Right. And then from there, it was just like the dominoes started to fall. And I started telling people about space. And so I have lots of people now message me whenever they see anything space related. And it has led to some cool friendships, to some different opportunities. And it's really just about you putting it out there, you know, and letting it be known. But it was like instantaneous. It was like literally, I just decided, okay, I'm going to go back and do the space stuff. I'm back in the US now. And I was sitting there that night, like, did that just happen? Really? Like that
Yes, it did.
fast? It's pretty cool.
I mean,
Amazing.
even for me, I believe that the people that they get into the space industry or the space community, before getting into it, they have to have that mindset shift.
Yes.
Because the moment you think of the space, your entire mindset will expand and you
Mm,
will start receiving as much as you expanded. Because the space itself, when you look at the universe, how big it is, how
mm,
small we are, and then you open that hatch of receiving, you will start to get the entire space industry. So people say the industry is so big, but I don't know why I feel it's so small. No, it is
right.
big, but
Yes.
because you are open enough to receive them all and to get to know them all, that's why you feel it's so close or it's so small. It's
Yes.
how much you expand your hatch to receive relationships. That's why Sarah right now,
Mm.
I don't know, on your podcast, I am number what? Like, I don't know, number what?
50 to 60 something, maybe?
Okay. I mean, you have spent 50 to 60 hours plus with people talking about different things,
Yes.
expanding your knowledge, your experience, getting to know their energy and their vibration, learning from them, and they learn from you. And each time you meet with another person, you transfer the knowledge coming from that person to the other person, and now you are the connect circle that connecting all of us. So I
Mm,
know all these 60% through you because you know them and you sit with them and you have part of their mindset, right?
mm. Yes.
So
Yeah. That's a great way
connection
to
is
look at
such,
it.
yeah, it's such a magic. You will never understand it until you get deeper and deeper into it and see how people can actually transfer the words. Even sometimes when I sit with people, and let's say as simple as when I finish this podcast, I will go and sit with my mother. I might be speaking in the tongue of Sarah or the mindset of her because I spent the last hour with her, right?
Mhm. Yeah,
So this is
absolutely.
energy transfer is such a great principle that keeps us moving forward to get to know more people, interact with more people, but be careful, not all the people worth spending an hour with. Some people will just take your energy, right?
Yes, Yes, we have to be conscious and discerning, right? And listen to how we feel. That's why it's so important to build your awareness around the feeling, the sensation you have in your body, and following the intuition, right? Because for so long, especially if you're in a STEM field, we're taught to use logic and the mind and like force it to fit this construct, this model of thinking. And yet we sense when we meet someone if something's off. We sense, we have these other senses that when someone is blind or deaf or has some other disability that means they don't have the full range, all the other things become heightened, right? And it's really important to understand those things about yourself and to start to listen because ultimately you know what's best for you, right?
Yes.
And when we start to give away that power and responsibility to other people, that's when we just like get crashed with the waves against the rock and it feels really hard. But when we start to, hey, the waves have a pattern. Okay, I can, now I know when to hold my breath, when to pop up, when to do this. So the awareness is one of the most important things that you can build.
Yeah, and I see some Arabic words coming on
Yes,
the chat.
very.
So Terry is saying Shab Hakim. That means a wisdom girl. So thank you, Terry. I
I love
learned a
it.
lot from you.
Yes, I learn a lot from Terry too, and he's one of these bright lights in the world. So Terry, thank you for always making us smile and sending supporting messages because it makes a difference. It really, really does. And again, that's that space kind energy and that connection. And so, Salam, I think we could talk for hours and hours, and I hope I get to
Yes,
see you at the Analog Astronaut Conference in
I'll
May,
do my
which is
best. Yeah.
just around the corner. But what I would love to know is the three questions I always ask my guests. The first one you kind of answered a little bit about how you serve and what you're doing to help serve humanity through the work that you're doing. So, how do you see your skill sets? What do you view as a superpower?
As a superpower. So I thought a lot about this question because I really want to answer it in a way that inspire other people. So I see myself as or the superpower of mine is to help people,
Mm,
to inspire people, to solve problems. I mean, if I am there, I need to be there for the good reason, not for the bad reason. If
yeah.
I am there for the bad reason, I would rather prefer not to be there. So the superpower comes from bridging the gap between
Mm,
people and ideas, people and other opportunities. That's the golden key that I have. The superpower, I feel like, how can you as a human add to humanity? If you
mm,
can add, then you're a superhero. You're a power in this universe. And I yesterday I heard something saying that you are exist because the universe needs you.
mm,
If the universe does not need you, you should not be here. So if someone thinks that they don't matter and they are not adding anything to the humanity, I am not useful, I need to die or something, or these negative vibes that I don't want to even say them, but they should change their mindset into something, say that you are here because we need you.
mm.
Everyone needs you. You just need to put a little more hard work on yourself and change your mindset. So the
Yes.
superpower, it is within every one of us. The only thing we need to do is to search for it. Mine is very crystal clear. I want to help people as long as I can.
Yeah. And the bridging the gap is really powerful. I think many people do this without realizing, but I know this is why you and I connected so much because there are so many people who want to connect, but they're doing this, right?
Yes.
And they just need someone to connect here and to reframe and give the different perspective. So when you have the cultural understanding that might be missing from one of the parties, you can help bridge the gap. When you're bringing students to consider space, when you're looking at women in STEM, right, you're helping to remove the mystery and the boundary, just like we started the podcast to talk about, like, how do you start an analog? It seems so like up here and scary and frightening for people, or oh, I must be an engineer or else I can't do it, and yet it's not, right? And so
Yeah.
clearing that up is really a beautiful superpower because it's helping to make the process more smooth, and also it speeds it up, right? Rather than people clashing just because of a misunderstanding. So that's a really beautiful superpower. And I thank you for all that you're doing to help bridge those gaps in many different areas.
Yes, I'm ready to do whatever I can, and even if I have to put extra hard work to help these people, I will not say no. I will always be because that's why I believe I'm here. Like
Mm,
if I'm here to hurt people, I should not be here. If I'm here to help people, then that's the right thing. That's the right reason.
awesome. So, Salam, a lot of times we have our personal board of directors of people that we go to regularly. You don't have to say any specific names, but I'd love to know, do you have a personal board of directors, people that you regularly bounce ideas off of or go to for their perspective before you make a decision or before you take action on something?
Yes, 100%. I have so much people around me that I trust them, trusted
Mm,
friends and family members. I mean, I have my brothers, they are older than me. I am the youngest, and there's like a age gap between us. The minimum
yeah.
maybe it's like 4 years, and one is 15 years, and the other one is
Okay.
higher. So it's a
Yeah.
huge gap. So
Yes.
I usually get back to them to ask them for wisdom, for advice, especially because they have family. They've been in so much experiences than me, and they are older. They have been in or connected to much more people than I did,
Mhm.
and asking for wisdom is such a great thing because you will take their perspective and it will interact in your mind in a different way. You might translate this wisdom coming from them into 100 ways, different ways, and reflect them. So even business wise, I have my brother. I mean, every time I'm in a trouble with business, I go to my brother and say, "Hi, can you please help me? I know nothing about this." So I do have board of members, and even my husband or my fiance, he's the one I get back to him every time I wanna ask him even what color should I wear, because he's my best friend. So the
Yeah.
friends, let's say friends, trusted friends, are the people that you usually go and ask them without being embarrassed, even about the very silly little things. Board
Yeah.
of directors, they are not have to be the people with the mind and with the experience and the knowledge, the people who are engineers and doctors and lawyers. Not only these, we need these,
Mm,
but also in daily life to lower the stress on your shoulder. Because
mm.
even if you want to go to an interview and you are overstressed of what you're gonna wear, and then you ask your mother, "Hey, mom, this or this," she's gonna say this. Then you're gonna go with it with no extra stress. So
Yeah.
board of directors, I believe, should be for everyone, even if we recognize it or not. It's
Yeah.
there, and the people who are super isolated, they will feel that they need people by their
Mm,
side to seek wisdom, to seek advice, to seek
yeah.
help sometime. So I can add every time I meet a new people and I feel like their energy is matching with me. I can add them to the list. I don't
Yeah.
mind. I
Yeah.
love
Well, in different situations, you go to the different members, right? Not every situation requires the full council.
100%.
And then also maybe in the future, some of those people drop off, new people come on, and that's okay.
Yes.
And the beautiful thing about this exercise, if you go and do this for yourself, is if there's people on there that maybe you haven't met yet, but you really admire them, or maybe the person's passed away, you can still use their perspective to help you change your thinking, to
Yes.
consider the problem or the situation from a different point of view, which ultimately will help you the same as if it was, me or you or your best friend or your mom or your partner standing right next to you. And even like you said, even when those people are present, you're still running it through your own filter, your own mind, and you
Yes.
are making the decision. And so they're just there to offer guidance and direct support, but ultimately it's still your decision. And so it's a really powerful exercise to play with because it can really offer you different perspectives.
100%. Sometimes I don't listen to them. I do what I wanted, whatever I
Me
want.
too.
But most of the time, I ended up regretting. Like, I should have listened to my mom. Oh my God. Like,
Oh gosh,
uh,
yeah, no, I know. If
yeah,
my mom was watching this podcast, there's so many things she told me in my life that I should have listened to, especially when I was like a teenager, right? I think that's
yeah.
like every human being ever, right? We think our parents know nothing and that we are the smartest thing that ever existed. And then we get older and we're like,
Yeah, she was
yeah,
right.
I get it now. Okay, yes.
But I mean, even regretting what you regret itself, I hate to say regret because even if it's like
You
a
learn.
moment, you don't have to regret anything in the world because it meant to be, it meant to happen, and that's how it should be. Because we go through experiences to learn. So I am grateful for many times I did not listen to many people because I made a mistake and I learned from it,
Oh,
and that,
absolutely.
yeah, that led me to an experience that it's perfect. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of a circle that it's complicated, that you will never figure it out
It's the
until you
hero's
try it.
journey. It's the hero's journey, the typical classic
Yes,
example, Joseph Campbell. Like, we have to go through the journey ourselves sometimes to really get the lesson and embody it, right? Because how many times have you read a book or gone to a conference and seen a speaker and you're like, wow, yes, I can do all these things. And yet you still get, you're like, you justify in your reason, and then you have the experience that you could have avoided. But again, it's like the children who are roughhousing or climbing a ladder, right? When they fall and it hurts, then they're more careful next time. But if you constantly coddle them, or think about like Bubble Boy, right, that movie,
yeah,
then they never learn anything for themselves, and then that creates a whole host of other problems. So that's a really great point.
yes, it
Yes.
is.
No regrets. Okay, so my final question, the how do you represent humanity? So this is designed in the sense that another alien life form intelligence has come here and they meet you, Salam. You're the first human being that they interact with. What do they learn about humanity because they've met you?
Well, I'll play a game with them, definitely.
Okay.
So I'm not gonna talk to them. I'm not gonna try to say, "Hi, do you understand me?" Because they 100% not gonna understand me. Even humans with their with each other, some languages we don't
Right.
understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will try to interact with them. Maybe I'll try to let them hit me and then I'll cry, or maybe do something funny and I will laugh. I will
Mm.
interact with them physically to tell them that we have emotion and we are creatures that we respond. So you have to give me action for
Yeah.
me to give you a reaction so we can understand each other. Maybe
Mm.
that's the way I think about it. Emotions can reach faster than anything in the world. You know,
Mm.
some people they fall in love with other people from other nationality, other places. They don't even speak the same language, but because the energy and the emotions started to interact in a way that we don't see it.
Yeah.
So I might be using that way.
Okay.
It's thinking outside of the box, but I believe that
Yes.
if I spoke Arabic or English, I don't think so they're gonna understand it. Even Turkey, they're not gonna understand it, trust me.
Right. No, that's a great way. Play. At this eclipse retreat I was just at that Loretta put together, there was this woman, Jessica, and Jessica Coleman, and she runs the Magic of Human Connection. And one of the games exercises we did in this experience was when you're kind of walking around the room, and then she's guiding us through, and then she's like, okay, next person you make eye contact with, we're going to go with them. And it was be like a child where you're from two different countries, you don't speak the same language, but interact, play with each other, come up with a game. And
Yes.
it was so fun to do it. It was also kind of hard, but how many times do we see young children who don't speak each other's languages playing with each other? And they've like had these elaborate rules of this game. We're like, how did you communicate that with each other? How did you figure that out? But somehow they do, right? So that could be a very powerful way to connect. I love that. And in that process, they would learn about human emotion and the power of play if they didn't
Yeah.
already know those things. And we'd probably learn a lot in the process too.
And we're gonna have fun.
Yeah, have fun.
Yeah.
If you take anything away from this podcast, it's have fun. Say
Yes.
why not, add the word yet to the end of your sentences, and have fun.
Have fun. Yes, we had fun. I had a lot of fun speaking to you, Sarah. Such a
Thank
great
you.
podcast, and I'm really curious about each episode that you gone through. How much fun you had. I mean, I'm
Oh, yeah.
jealous.
Yes, no, it is honestly, that's why I started the podcast because I am curious by nature. I've actually called myself insatiably curious before. And I thought this was a beautiful way to really dive in and connect with people. And that's why I do it as a live stream because I don't think we can edit real life, right? Like, there's no rewind and erase button. There's no like, oh, cut that out, and no one else can see it. This is real life happening right now. And, yeah, okay, we put some topics that we're going to dive into, of course, and there's the overarching theme, but then we're just having the magic of human connection, to use Jessica's phrase, and we're going through the conversation like we would in real life. And that's why I do it this way.
Yes, and I love it that way. Keep it that way because
Thank you.
it's much better than preparing so hard and knowing exactly what you're gonna say. Because no matter what you prepare, no matter how much you are prepared, there's something will pop up, will change the way you think, the way you
Yeah,
respond. So just
absolutely.
be you. I mean, being Sarah is such a great thing, right?
Thank you. Thank you, Salam. Yes, and being Salam is a wonderful thing too. I'm so glad that we connected at AAC, and I'm so glad that you said yes to the podcast, not
Sure.
knowing the full format until just when I sent you the briefing and diving into all of these topics. I'm have seen a lot of people join us live today, so thank you to everyone who has joined us today. We appreciate the live comments and all of the support. This podcast will also post to LinkedIn, X, YouTube. So please go like and subscribe on YouTube to stay up to date of more episodes. And later this week, we'll have a Grammy award-winning. When they have the what is it the heat light conductor of the orchestra, my goodness, I'm tripping over my words, Brent Fisher, and I'm really excited. Speaking of connection, Salam, Brent and I were in almost the same place to meet during the eclipse, but because we both had groups of people we were traveling with, we were like so close within an hour of each other, but we couldn't actually make it work because the schedules kept changing. But he's going to be on the podcast on Friday. So it's really fun to see how, again, the intersecting circles cross each other.
Yes. It happened for a reason. Maybe you're saving the energy to discover the conversation with him,
Yes,
right?
yeah, right. I maybe the universe didn't want me to get super excited and have this private conversation, but instead we get to uncover and unpack the magic on Friday. So
Yeah.
stay tuned for the next episode. And Salam, thank you so much for being here. Where can people connect with you if they'd like to learn more about some of the things that you've been working on, how they can get involved, all of the above?
Yes, sure, 100%. They are more than welcome. I'm open. I'm open in my hatch to meet a lot of people from all around the world, from all around industries, let's say. And thank you so much, Sarah, for such a great podcast and for your invitation for me. I hope you continue the way you are. I'm so proud of you, and I want you to meet a lot of people and expand your knowledge and your experience because it's such a great opportunity for you and for me to be with you. Thank you so much from all around the world because right now it's like 8 p.m. almost here in Jordan, so it's like a huge gap in timing.
Yes.
Thank you everyone for staying with us on this podcast, and thank you again, Sarah.
Yes, thank you, Salam. I mean, look at the magic of our world today that we get to have this opportunity. So I'm so grateful. Thank you for being here. And for everyone else at home, stay tuned for the next episode, and we'll see you very soon.
Thank you.